Alrighty then, truth time. We spend a lot of time in front of a screen, don't we? None of you lied, this pandemic has been even worse for that kind of thing. I just got done with like 3 hours of gaming myself. But there is a big world out there ready to be explored by all of us, not just on the screen. And if you still live with your parents, well, then I'm sure they always tell you to go out there and check it out, am I right? And honestly, you should really listen to them. And maybe take a shower while you're at it. But don't you worry. If you don't have anybody telling you this, then let me be the one to say it. Go out and explore the world, dang it! It's nice outside! You're welcome. Either way, you can always come back and watch videos at any time. Now, one of the best ways to enjoy the outdoors is by practicing sports. There are literally tons of them, and you can practice them on your own or as part of a team. But unfortunately, some sports can be a tad bit dangerous. Some of them actually have higher risks of getting hurt, and that's why today we're going to be looking at 10 of the most dangerous sports. And I'm not saying that to scare you, I'm just saying, well, you should be ready for some unexpected things that can happen with practicing sports. From injuries to heat exhaustion, there's a lot that can happen, but I'm sure this video will prepare you and help you lower the risk of getting hurt while practicing some of these sports. With all that said and done, let's begin, shall we? Number 10. Street Luge, whatever it's called. No, this sport is not the one at the top of the list. In fact, this is very safe compared to others that you'll see on this list. It's just hard to pronounce for me. For those of you who are not familiar with it, this sport is an extreme sport in which you go down a paved road while riding a street luge board, which is also known as a sled. Other than the riding position and the high speeds, the sport doesn't have a significant relation to the winter sport called luge, or whatever it's called. Honestly, that one is probably safer because it happens in the snow. Between the years of 2008 to 2011, there were less than 25 street luge-related deaths reported per year. And when injuries happen, they can be quite severe. But honestly, they're not likely to happen because riders are expected to wear full leather outfits and helmets, which can prevent further harm. Still though, incidents do happen, and when they happen, they are quite tragic. So that's why this weird-sounding sport gets to be on our list today. Number 9. Cheerleading. Okay, I was actually going to question this one, but I have seen cheerleaders biff it pretty hard in my old pep assemblies. That was the highlight of it. Either way, cheerleading is a must for this list. What makes cheerleading so dangerous is not just the crazy aerobics, but also the fact that some cheerleaders are being tossed literally 30 feet in the air. And that's pretty high above the ground, and it requires a ton of skill for them to perform their routine without getting hurt or missing getting caught. And of course, cheerleaders don't rely on helmets and any gear that can give them significant protection. They rely on their teammates, and if one of them misses the catch on the way down, then their artistic routine immediately turns into a tragedy. Another interesting fact about cheerleading is that people consider it to be the most dangerous high school sport in the US. The number of head injuries caused by cheerleading is significantly higher than those that happen due to high school football, and those guys wear friggin' helmets. So, if your high school has a highly skilled cheerleading team, then you should be supportive of them. They're putting their lives at risk just to represent your school. Although your chances of dating one are pretty slim, let's be honest here. Number 8. Skiing. The dangers of skiing don't require a lot of explanation. I mean, if you go on a family trip to some friendly snowy slopes, you're not likely to get hurt, especially if there are instructors and staff to help you out. However, skiing as a professional sport can put you in dangerous situations that could hurt you really badly, and in the worst case scenario, you could even lose your life. To summarize it up, if you don't take skiing seriously, you're gonna have a bad time. There could be an avalanche, or you could hit a tree, or fall inside a tree well, or hit the ground wrong as you fail to perform on the expert trails, or you could hit a bear, hit a yeti, hit a bear and a yeti. The possibilities are endless here. Yeah, don't worry too much, skiing-related deaths are very low compared to other sports. Only 2 injuries occur per 1,000 skier visits, and you're 100 times more likely to lose your life while canoeing than during a skiing course. I'd still advise you to get some experience before skiing on your own. Number 7. Scuba diving. There are many people out there who are afraid of drowning, even if they do know how to swim. And if you're one of those people, then scuba diving is probably the most dangerous sport in your eyes. There are a few things that could happen besides drowning, though. Like I've said before, you could pass out on your way to the surface if you go up too quickly. Also, you could bump your head against a rock and get a bad concussion, or you could have a terrible mix of gas in your tank that would make it difficult for you to get out of the water. Or perhaps you grab the wrong tank and you got helium instead of air. Again, let me remind you, sharks are also not out there to get you. They're actually not that threatening unless you start bugging them. Overall, scuba diving can be dangerous, but if you dare to do it, then you'll be able to explore an underwater world that is not known by many of us. Number 6. Bullfighting and riding. Guys, do I really have to explain why this is dangerous? Alright. It's hard to decide which one is more dangerous, bullfighting or bull riding. But since both of them involve using bulls, I just went for both. Now let's be honest, many of you probably have strong opinions about these sports. And that's because we love animals, am I right? And people who love animals are not big fans of bull-related sports. I'm not going to go into details and decide whether it's right or wrong to use bulls in sports, and instead I'm going to show you why these sports are dangerous. Let's start by pointing out that bulls are very aggressive. And seriously, why would anyone want to ride one? The mechanical ones I can see, but a live one? That's probably a bad idea. I don't know, but getting to ride an angry bull is pretty much a big accomplishment apparently. While today most bull riders have protective gear, the use of a helmet is not mandatory. For that reason, getting to ride a bull is quite dangerous, because your head is exposed throughout the practice, and hurting your head while trying to tame an aggressive animal is really just a bad idea. Similarly, it's a bad idea to fight against these creatures, but people still do that in different parts of the world. Professional bullfighting is responsible for plenty of injuries every year, which totally makes sense because there's no way that every bullfighter can get out of this unharmed. And the dozens of injuries reported are just those from legit professional bullfighters. There are some people who practice this sport without reporting their activities, and I doubt they all get out of their fights without some scratches or some terrible injuries. Number 5. Hunting. Of course, a sport that involves the use of guns had to be on this list. And again, I'm sure many of you have strong opinions about this sport. The opinions are so strong they removed Elmer Fudd's gun and Yosemite Sam's guns from the new Looney Tunes show, and I'm just not happy about that. Getting back to the script, this sport involves seeking, chasing, and catching wild animals with the aid of guns. For that reason, hunters are supposed to be among the most responsible gun carriers in the world. But sometimes things go wrong, am I right? You know, all it takes is for one person to be in the wrong spot at the wrong time, think the gun's a toy, boom, they go missing. There are at least 1,000 people who are accidentally shot per year. And while most of them make it out of it alive, it's still pretty scary to think that a bullet could hit you. For that reason, if you or someone in your family decides to give this sport a try, I beg you, please learn how to properly hunt. Please learn how to use a gun, for Pete's sake. Number 4. Steep creeking. If you've been practicing kayaking for a while and you're a bit tired of it, then steep creeking might be the next sport for you to try. But keep in mind that it's also considered to be one of the most dangerous sports in the entire world. Steep creeking takes you through very intense rivers and sometimes even over some waterfalls while putting you at risk of falling off your kayak or even drowning you as you get turned over. Sometimes people fall off their kayaks and hit their heads against rocks, which turns into the last kayak experience of their lives. Around 15 people lose their lives every year while practicing this sport. Other risks include broken bones and concussions. Yeah, it's fun to raft in some wild rapids, but just make sure you're careful enough so you can survive the river and share your exciting story with others. Number 3. Racing. There are all kinds of racing, and all of them have some degree of danger. And the Fast and Furious movies don't really show it that well. I guess that makes sense because racing requires you to go at high speeds to reach your goal before everyone else. There's powerboat racing, which sometimes ends up in terrible crashes in and out of the water. Then there's auto racing, which you're probably familiar with. It requires drivers going at very high speeds. And then there's Mario Kart racing, which can end up in many tears and broken friendships. Of course, then there's the most dangerous racing of them all, motorcycle racing, which puts competitors on a road at high speeds without any significant protection. A simple crash or a quick slide can become deadly in just a matter of seconds. In fact, the Isle of Man TT in Ireland is considered to be one of the deadliest races in the world. Throughout its history, it has claimed the lives of more than 200 people. A small mistake can turn into a life-threatening experience, so make sure you're very cautious if you ever decide to jump in the world of racing. Now it's time for the day's best pick. The picture I have for today shows someone practicing a fun sport that is actually a very popular one in different corners of the world, but it also involves a lot of dangers. Let's check out number 2. Surfing. What can be dangerous about surfing? After all, if you fall off your board, you'll fall in the water, am I right? What's so harmful about that? Rocket power made it seem so cool. Well, actually, there are quite a few factors. Let's start with the fact that sometimes it's not just water that's underneath them. Sometimes there's also some scary reefs and rocks that can scratch you and harm you very badly. In some rather extreme scenarios, there's also the possibility of finding sharks. In fact, some of the worst human shark encounters in history involve surfers who were unaware of the hungry beasts that were preying on them. Some people even believe that sharks mistake surfers for seals, which really does make sense when you look at them from an underwater perspective. And if surfing is already dangerous, then big wave surfing is just deadly. Some people dare to ride waves that are anything between 50 to 100 feet tall. These waves are capable of pushing down surfers at scary depths, and sometimes they also smash them against rocks or other elements that can lead to drowning or other harmful consequences. That's why they say big wave surfing is not for everyone, and some people even go as far as saying that it's not for anyone at all. Would you dare to try it? Before we move on, do me a favor. My analytics show that only about 15% of you watching are actually subscribed. Come on guys, what's up with that? Can you guys please hit the subscribe button? You guys watch my videos every day anyway, so you might as well subscribe and keep up to date with every video we put out. Number 1. Mountaineering. From slipping on a rock to falling off a cliff, mountaineering is probably the most dangerous sport out there. Every year there are tons of people who get injured while climbing up mountains in different parts of the world. There's really no way to single out the main reason for these incidents, as the dangers in the mountains are numerous and every mountain has its own set of challenges. Altitude sickness, snow blindness, oxygen deprivation, bears and yetis. You know, all those can be present if you go to some of the highest peaks on Earth. Unfortunately, the number of mountaineering-related deaths is quite high, but even higher is the number of people who go missing while venturing into the unknown wilderness of the mountains. I hope this video encouraged you to go out and go explore the world. You don't have to practice dangerous sports, but some physical activity can get you in a great mood and is overall good for your health. However, if you had to practice any of these sports, which one would it be and why? Or maybe you've already tried some of them already. What was it like? Let us know in the comments section down below and be the first to show me up who's only ever done flag football and airsofting. I'm still happy though. Well, that's our video for today, folks, and I'll see you all next time. Later, everybody.